Hello, my Teaserking family. Let's try this again. I cannot control the freezing, and it's not freezing on my end. So all I can do, if I was looking at myself, and I'm not freezing. Yesterday, I froze a little bit on my end, but it seemed okay. So this is, as far as I can see, I'm fine on my end. But I don't control the freezing. I don't control YouTube. All I do is go live. Right? I'm on my cam, going live. That's it. All right. So as we're talking, the managers are idiots where they're, bottom of the ninth, they're going with the reliever with the 6 ERA, or they're betting guys who hit 085 lead off. And then the question is even, why are these guys on your team? They should be in the minor leagues because they're not good players. If they can't hit, they're not major league players. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Let me know. So that's really the point. If you got them up to get them experience, they should do that at AAA. They shouldn't do it in the majors. And just because somebody's good in AAA doesn't mean they're good in the majors, because the pitching's so much better in the majors than AAA. Now, my bitch is there's not enough good players. There's too many. There's 32 teams. There's not 32 teams full of players, especially all the pitchers they have. They all have 12, 11, 12, 13 pitchers on the team, so they can all pitch one inning at a time. Whoever came up with this idea is an idiot. Every 4 days, and then pitch the guy goes 9 innings, and they all had complete games. Steve Carlton and Nolan Ryan seem to be able to do complete games and not hurt their arms. So it's a new phenomenon, everybody getting hurt. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, so first game's 1:30. Let's go. So the Yankees, it's a tough one. Tampa Bay. The Yankees are a 130 favorite, 8.5. Chevalier's 2-1 with the 2.74 against Gill. 0-1 with the 386. Let's go under 8.5. It's really a coin flip. We went over 8.5 yesterday. They didn't get there. I don't know. I got to get the teams better, and I'm going to do that today. So we played 21, 22 games. The Yankees are 14-7. So about the first 25. Now I'll go AZ over or under. I'm going to keep it simple. And then we'll look at bullpen, and we'll have, well, the starter we know, like here, Chevalier's 2-1 with the 2.74. So we know what the starter is. The batting's okay. We can see, like, we know Cleveland and Atlanta are really good hitting teams. Kansas City, Baltimore, we got that. Philadelphia. The weak ones are Detroit and Minnesota, teams like that. So we'll try to keep it like that, but it really doesn't matter. If Verlander's pitching, he'll shut out Atlanta. It doesn't really matter. So we will take note. Like here, we thought the Yanks and Tampa hit. We went over with them yesterday. They didn't get there. So these are pretty good pitchers. Chevalier, I don't know much about Gill, but well, let's look at Luis Gill. Dominican Republic. I love how they're all like Dominican Republic, Cuba, wherever. He's pitched 3 games, 4 innings, gave up 1 run, 4 innings, gave up 2 runs, 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. The last 2 against Toronto. So he should give up a few runs. And yeah, well, we'll stick with under. See, I think in a game like this, it comes down to bullpen. All right, Houston, Washington. We had Houston and lost a high-scoring game yesterday. Houston's a 165 and a 9 over under. Houston's struggling. They need the game, 7-15. Washington, 9-11. Hunter Brown, 0-3 with the 10.54 against Michael Parker, 1-0 with the 3.60. Let's take a look at Michael Parker. from New Mexico. Oh, he's from America. Pitched 5 innings against the Dodgers, gave up 2 runs. I think Washington scores a lot. Houston, we're going to go over here. I don't see why Houston's favored with Hunter Brown 0-3 with the 10.54. So it's either go Washington or going over. We're going to go over. We're going to call it Washington over 9. So we got a bad pitcher. So now here's where the problems arrive. Hunter Brown 0-3 with the 10.54. Okay, they're going to score a lot on him. But he only plays 3 or 4 innings now. And then they go to 15 guys in the bullpen, and they each pitch, to one batter or 1 inning, and they shut them out because the pitchers can go 1 inning. It's when they pitch more that they have problems. So we can get 3 or 4 runs for Washington, but then if the bullpen shuts them out, but I don't think Houston's got a good bullpen. In fact, I think they have a bad one. So over 9 makes sense here. We know Houston can hit. So they're going to hit this Michael Parker. But I think Washington hits. I think this is a good. I'm going to go. Will be our first 5 unit. Let's go Washington over 9. Banking on Hunter Brown with his 10.54 ERA, 0-3 record. Won't show up today. The White Sox and the Phillies. Now you like Philly, Greg John. The problem is it's a 300 money line. Minus 300 to win a 100 on Philly, over under 7.5. Chicago 3-17, Philly 13-8. We went over yesterday 7.5. There was a few 7.5s. We went over with Philly and we went over with Cleveland, and they were easy wins. They both had weak pitchers. The Detroit game had decent pitching. We went over because we thought, no, the pitching was not that good. And they got 7 runs, but they can't hit. And we went under KC 7.5 because they had good pitching and they went over. So we did hit 2 over 7.5. They just don't make sense. In this case, you got Aaron Nola 2-1 with the 3.47 and Nick Nastrini 0-1 with the 3.60. Well, it's hard to bet Philly minus 300. So we'll go over with it. Phil over 7.5, and we'll make this a 5-unit play at this point. Does Philly win? Maybe. I don't know. Nick Nastrani, never heard of the guy. Let's take a look. He's from San Jose. Should have been playing football. He played against Kansas City, 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. So he's not that bad. He's just starting. So you have no idea. Oh, he went to UCLA. Okay, so he's a good pitcher then. This guy went to UCLA. I like him. I would go that route all day over this. Grab a high school guy. The Tigers keep grabbing high school guys, and you have no idea because they play high school opponents. You don't know how good they are. But this guy played at UCLA, and they're playing good teams. I would definitely go college. I wouldn't draft high school guys. I played high school baseball, and I didn't see anybody that I'd say, oh, this guy's a major leaguer. No chance. Now, you can develop in college, but I wouldn't take a high school. I would never draft a high school guy. Never in football, never in any sport. LeBron and Moses Malone were the exceptions, but I wouldn't waste my time. All right, so we're going to go over Philly, although I do like – it's almost like I like the White Sox as a dog with this pitcher because he went to UCLA, but at 3-17, I think Philly wins the game. And again, that's the beauty of baseball. They just got to win. They're minus 300, which is high. But if they win 7-6, you get the W. So we'll go there. Boston and Pittsburgh. Pitt's a big favorite, 150-8. They're both 12-10, 11-10. So they're both playing decent. John Winkowski for Boston, 1-1 with a 4.63 against Martin Perez, 1-0 with a 2.55. And let's see, Martin. He's the guy that beat the Tigers. Yeah. He had the Tigers. He pitched. He got fucked because he pitched 8 innings, gave up 1 earned run, and they pull him, and then they lose the game in the 9th, 5-3. Yeah. So this is a poor guy. Pretty consistent. He's pretty good. He fled Venezuela. John Witkowski for Boston from Toledo, Ohio, in the Pro Bowler store. Hasn't pitched at all this year. And he's really a reliever. He's pitched just 1 and 2 innings. So that's why they like Martin. So what's he going to do? Relieve for 2-3 innings, and then the bullpen comes in. So here's where we need a bullpen ERA for Boston. Pittsburgh doesn't hit much. Let's go Pittsburgh, but I'm not betting it. I like Perez. He did well against the Tigers. Hopefully the manager learned his lesson by not pulling him in the 8th inning. Oakland, Cleveland. This should be a high-scoring game. Cleveland 165, 7.5. Are you kidding me? Now, we did the same bet yesterday. That was one of our $5, our 5-unit bets. We had this game over, and we're going to do the same thing. We got Ross Stripling with the 5.32, Tanner Bibby with the 4.82. We're going over 7.5. We're going to make this a 10-unit play. This is going to be our big boy play here. Cleveland scores a lot. They're good. They're a good hitting team. They're 15-6. They're playing well. Oakland scores a little. Oakland's pitcher sucks. Cleveland to get probably 7.5 by themselves. So let's go Cleveland, beat Navy, love them over, and we'll make this a 10-unit. This is the biggest play on the board. Here we bet real money on this one. California and Cincinnati also had it over 9.5 yesterday, got the W. And we'll probably do the same. California scores a lot, so does Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I noticed, doesn't have a good bullpen. At least yesterday, they had a 6 ERA, a 7. Now, we don't know if that's the everyday bullpen or then today it'll be a different bullpen because they have too many bullpen pitchers, but we'll see. Cincinnati's a 125, 9.5. Jose Soriano, 0 with the 4.80 against Frankie Montez, 2-2 with the 4.34. We're going over with Cincinnati, over 9.5, and we're going to play this one for 5 units. Now, with more games in, 20, 21, 22 games, we now have a better feel for the team. Kansas City certainly turned it around from last year. Baltimore's still a good team. So you learn the teams now, but you can't learn them in a way. You got to have enough data to go, oh, okay, this team can hit, and they can't. So I know Cincinnati hits and California hits. All right. Baltimore, Kansas City should be another high-scoring game. We had Kansas City under 7.5 with 2 good pitchers, and they ate it up. Baltimore 110, over under 9. Cole Irvin 0-1 with the 6.75 against Seth Lugo 3-0. We're going to take Kansas City here for 5 units. Seth Lugo now, see, he's 3-0 with the 105, so he's going to dominate them. I don't want to fuck with the over-under here. I got Cole Irvin 0-1 with the 6.75. I got the perfect ace versus the 5. Let's take the ace. Detroit, Minnesota. I don't even want to look at this game. Detroit is pathetic. Worst manager. Detroit tends to get the worst managers. From what I understand, their hockey coach is pathetic. The basketball coach should be coaching high school. The football coach is an idiot. Oh, it's 4th down. You get 4 downs. We'll go for it. It's the 49ers. Not a problem. I'm sure our 17-point lead will be safe if we don't make it. I'll tell you, the football guys sound like the MMT guys. Just keep printing money to pay for the debt. There's no consequence. Just keep printing the money. Same thing. Well, we'll just go for it on fourth down. There's no consequence. Oh, you mean we didn't go to the Super Bowl because my head was so far up my ass, I didn't know to go for 2 field goals on fourth down. Okay. Makes sense. This is the problem. And this is the problem with the MMT guys who say just keep printing money. There's no consequence. Oh, really? This is what I'm really beginning to hate about analytics. They'll show you some stupid stat, and it's a general macro stat. And when it doesn't work, they don't put consequence there. And that's the problem with AI. AI is, I guess, a bunch of analytics or algorithms, a bunch of algorithms. And look what's happening with the gold. So they're doing the algorithms to keep the price down as it's going through the moon, and they can't figure it out. So, it's going to cost the banks a lot of money because they keep shorting gold and it keeps going up. And you lose when you bet that to go down and it goes up, you lose a fortune. So I don't like algorithms and analytics at all. You've got to use your judgment and your mind and you know what you're seeing, and you can't do it like that. All right. Detroit, Minnesota. We're at the 2:00 games now. Minnesota 125-8. Casey Mize, I don't know, was a high draft pick. He's been injured for 5 years. He sucks. 0-0 with the 4.11 against Louis Varland. 0-3 with an 8.36 ERA. And yet Minnesota's favored, -125. How the hell is this? You got a guy 0-3 with an 8.36. So let's look at Louis from Trading Places. 0-3 with an 8. He's pitched 3 games. Milwaukee, he lost all 3. 4 innings, gave up 3 runs. 5 innings to the Dodgers, gave up 6 runs, and 5 innings to Baltimore, gave up 4 runs. So he's playing good teams and giving up a lot of runs, but he's pitched in 3 games. Let's look at this Casey Mize guy. 0-0 with a 4.11, 12 strikeout, 3 walks out of Alabama. Oh, I'm so sick of these Alabama guys. So he beat the Mets 6-3, pitched 4 innings, gave up 3 runs. Then against Pittsburgh, he got lucky that they pulled the pitcher. Otherwise, he'd have lost 5-1. 5 innings gives up 2 runs. In Texas, 5 innings gives up 2 runs. So they have won his games, but by luck, not because he did anything. He started in 2020. He pitched 7 games, then he pitched 30 in 21, 2 games in 22, didn't pitch in 23. I mean, the guy's just a wasted draft pick. ERA 6.99, 3.71, 5.40. The guy's a pig, basically. He's a 4.28 ERA. Starts 42 games. He's 7-13. So he's a pig. Out of Alabama. First round, first pick by the Tigers. What a joke. I mean, this guy's terrible. So you got a guy with a 4 ERA and a guy with an 8 ERA. Neither team hits. So I don't know. Let's go under. No bet. Detroit under 8. Hell if I'm going to bet it. I don't buy Minnesota as the favorite. I think Detroit is probably, we'll make a second bet here. Detroit. We're not betting it. Would be Detroit to win, because they're a dog, right? There's no way Louis Varland 0-3 then 8.36 is winning this game. Casey Mize is with his 4 ERA, but Minnesota's such a bad hitting team. So we'll go under in Detroit. Who knows? It'll probably be 2-1. Bobby needs to make a comeback and hit. Okay, enough with the Bobbies. Milwaukee, St. Louis. We got St. Louis at 165, 7.5. Milwaukee 13-6. St. Louis 9-12. Colin Ray 2-0 with a 2.7 against Sonny Gray 2-0. There we go. There's another pick. We're going to take St. Louis under, and this is going to be a 5-unit pick. Under 7.5. And did we do this yesterday? No. St. Louis, Milwaukee. We went Milwaukee over 8.5 and won with it, but now we're going to go St. Louis under 7.5. Sonny Gray's 2-0 with an 0-0, and Colin Ray 2-0 with a 2. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of runs here. So here's where I don't care what they hit like. When you got two good dominant pitchers, you go under. And now this 7.5 makes a lot more sense than the Philly 7.5 or the Cleveland 7.5, which I took over both times. So St. Louis under. Miami and the Cubbies. The Cubbies blew the game in the ninth inning by bringing out a reliever with the 6 ERA, and then they won game 2. So they played a doubleheader yesterday. So the bullpens are all fucked up because if you didn't play in game 1, you played in game 2. Otherwise, you played in both. You're not playing today. So the Cubbies are 125, 8.5. Edward Cabrera 0-0 with a 1.50 against Kyle Hendricks 0-2 with the 12.71. Cubbies are favored 125. Let's see what Edward Cabrera, where's he from? Cuba? Dominican Republic. So Dominican Republican's the hotbed for pitchers, and we understand what's wrong with the league then. Against the Niners, he went 6 innings, gave up 1 run, and this is his second start. He's been pitching since 2021, even though we have no idea who this guy is. His ERA is 3.0. Well, it's 5.8, then 3, then 4. So let's call him a 4 ERA guy. So we got 4 ERA guy going against 12 ERA guy. So we know Miami doesn't. It's probably be a low-scoring game. Miami doesn't hit. I don't think we can take the Cubs with Kyle Hendricks. Well, let's look at Kyle's 12-7-1. Was it one game that blew up or what? He's pitched 4 games. So he's given up 5, 7, and 7. Yeah, I don't think we're taking Kyle Hendricks. So I think we got to go over with the Cubbies. Cubs over 8.5. Now you might wonder, why is Kyle Hendricks still in the league? He's given up 5 runs twice and 7 runs twice. At what point are you going, this guy sucks? Or maybe he needs to go down into AAA and work on his pitches, because obviously he sucks. I mean, why does it take so long to realize the guy sucks when we can see 4 games where the guy sucks? This part I never understand. Oh, he's got a contract. Yeah. Do we want to lose every game or what? So maybe we can't take Cabrera to win for Miami, but then we got to go over. All right. 3 o'clock, Seattle and Colorado. These teams suck. Colorado, we played the game over with 2 pig pitchers, and it still went under. Game's in Colorado. Seattle minus 190, 10.5. Seattle's 10-10. Colorado's 4-16. We either bet Seattle or we don't play the game. Let's see. George Kirby 2-2 with a 6.64. Cal Quintrell 0-2. I mean, this is an over. What do we can't bet George Kirby 2-2 with a 6.64 ERA. You can't bet that guy. Do we want Colorado? Do we want to play it over again? Well, let's try it. Let's go Colorado over 10.5. No money. No money. We'll use this stuff. We'll bet with fiat currency, so then it really doesn't matter. Where do they get these pitchers? Well, that's the problem. They get them from Dominican Republic and a lot of Latin Americans. And again, what's their competition? So they think they're better than they are. Where's all the college pitchers? I like the one guy from UCLA. Why aren't you taking the best college pitchers? You do in football and you do in basketball. And this is I think part of the problem is in America, you see a lot less baseball fields and a lot more soccer fields, right? So if they're not playing baseball and they're playing soccer, they're not being developed And that's the problem. So if you don't have little league and you got soccer instead, because Johnny wants to play, and it's so easy to kick a ball over actually throwing a baseball and hitting it. They're very hard to do. So it ends up where if we're not having our our players play little league and pony colt. I played all the way to colt, which is little league ends at 12, ponies 13, 14, colts 15, 16. So I played till I was 15. And that so the pitchers are developing at that stage. And so they're easier to draft. But if you've gone to more soccer, then you still have football players, but your baseball talent is dwindled because they're just not playing it. It's an expensive sport. You got to buy a mitt, and you got to buy a bat. You got to buy balls. You got to have a field. You got to have, at least 6-on-6 or 7-on-7. So the reason soccer is popular is because all you need is one ball. And you get 3 or 4 guys, and they kick the ball back and forth. It's like walking. It's not that hard. Hitting a baseball, none of the soccer players could hit a baseball. No fucking way. If they could, they should be playing baseball. And that's really the problem. So the rest of the world, it's the most popular sport, as they say. Yeah, because it's the easiest sport and the cheapest sport. And all these countries are liberal, and they're all don't have any money. So the kids growing up can buy one ball and kick it. You got to come over, and it doesn't cost them anything to kick a fucking ball. That's the point. Yeah, I did too. I played until 17. Yeah, more kids play soccer. Well, that's the problem. The football players, I think they like the contact. They like the child abuse that they got, so they like the contact. They like hitting people. See, it's a whole different thing. I remember hearing Herschel Walker. He says, "I like the hitting. I like the contact." And that's the difference. Football, the people like the contact. Baseball, you can either do it or you can't. You can't. That's why so many of these pitchers get injured. You can't. It's not easy to throw. I got a good arm. I went to one of these things at Cedar Point, one of these theme parks, and there was like, you could see how fast you threw it into a bag to see how fast you can. And I whipped it. It was like 57. I mean, it was like, how do these guys throw 90? I threw it pretty fucking hard, and yet 57. So I don't know how they're getting so many guys to pitch 100, but I don't think it's natural. And I think that's why they're ripping their arms out, because they really, you can't throw 95, 100 miles an hour easily without injuring yourself. So I think that's why there's so many injuries for the pitchers, because they're not capable of throwing it that fast. Very few are. Unless you're Nolan Ryan, but he was like 6'5" and could throw it. Or Randy Johnson was 6'9". But the regular guys and all these Dominican Republic and Cuban guys, they can't throw it that fast. So major leagues looking at speed instead of looking at style. Well, he's got a good curveball and he's got a good changeup, and you don't need to throw it 100 miles an hour to get the guys out, because they're going to time you. You just need to be able to fool the guys. But those pitchers aren't being developed. That's why all these guys have arm problems trying to throw the ball 100 miles an hour. But that's what I'm noticing. Again, soccer's a cheaper sport. You buy one ball and the whole neighborhood kicks it, and anybody, if you can walk, can kick a soccer ball. Very boring sport. These people say, oh, these guys have to be in great shape. They run all the time. I watch soccer. One guy's running got the ball, and the other guys are standing there. I mean, if you look, the guys on the other side of the field, they're not moving. And yeah, there's a burst when the guy kicks it and gets by the guy, and he's running to the goal, but the other guys are kind of just standing around. And okay, but hockey's much more. You got to be in much better shape for hockey, because everybody's skating, not just the guy with the ball in soccer. But soccer's too boring for me. I can't. All right. So what do we get? Colorado over, just two bad pitchers. Arizona and the 49ers. Good football game. We got Arizona 110-8. They're both 10-12. Merrill Kelly 2-0 with a 2.19. Jordan Hicks 2-0 with a 1.57. We're going under. SF under 8. And we're going to make this a 5-unit play. And you got to ask yourself why this is 8, not 7.5. Like, the Cleveland game, 7.5 with bad pitchers, and this is two studs going, and this is an 8. So hard to really understand. But this is a 5-unit. 4 o'clock, the Mets and the Dodgers. That was our big winner yesterday. The Mets is a 300 dog cover comes through. And let's see, the Dodgers are another 250. I don't believe the Mets. 250 with the 9. The Mets are 12-8. They got a better record than the Dodgers. I don't get it. Adrian over 9. I'm not going to bet it like we bet the Mets as a dog yesterday, but I would think the Mets could win this game too if you're looking for a live big dog. There's no way I would take the Dodgers at minus 250 here. It's either the Mets or the over. I'm going over. When in doubt, score runs, boys. Toronto, San Diego. Toronto 12-9. San Diego. Toronto was one of our picks yesterday, and it got the W. San Diego 130-8 over under. Chris Bassett 2-2 with the 403 against Joe Musgrave 2-2 with the 629. This is an easy one. Toronto over 8. And we're going to make this a 5-unit play. They both can hit, and both these pitchers suck. 2-2 with the 403 and 2-2 with the 629. If Bassett was better, this would be a Toronto play. 403, I'm not comfortable betting them. It's like the 401 highway. I'm going to go over 8. Texas and Atlanta. We finally get 2 night games. Texas 11-11, Atlanta 14. This should go way over. What happened yesterday? I had Texas over 9. It didn't get there yesterday. Mike Lorenzen 1-0 with an 0-0, and Vines 0 if you bet the totals. Let's see. Lorenzen from California played 1 game against Detroit, shut him out. Well, it's not hard to shut out Detroit. Who knew in 23? Let's see what his ERA is. 4.09. So it's a 4 ERA. And here he's a 1. So he's not a 0-0. He pitched 1 game for 5 innings, so he's not that strong. Darius Vines 0-0 with the 193, and he's from California. And he pitched 4 innings. Okay, so we are going to go. So here's where you dig into it. When you look at it superficially, Lorenzen 1-0 with an 0-0 and Vines 0-0 with the 193, and you get all excited. We're betting it under. But as you dig into it, you see Lorenzen's a career 4 ERA, and he pitched in 1 game and shut out Detroit in 5 innings. And then Vines 0-0 with the 193, also pitched in 1 game, 4 or 5 against these lineups. Now, when you get to the bullpen, what kind of bullpens? So that's why I need in this game, even though the starters' ERAs are 0 and 0.94 innings. 10 yesterday, they didn't get there. Seattle does 4. Is this game 2? Did I have a Colorado? Yes. Colorado at 3:10. So this is a doubleheader. Yeah, we played this game over. Yeah, Colorado over 10.5 in game 1. So let me differentiate. Okay, so I'm going to ignore this. Well, I got Seattle Hancock 1-2 with the 7.98 against Peter Lambert 2-0 with the 2.31. So we theoretically could take Colorado as a dog in game 2. So let's do that. Colorado game 2 against Seattle with a 2-0 with a 2.31 against the Yankees under 8.5. Washington over 9, Philly over 7.5, Pittsburgh Cleveland over 7.5, Cincinnati over 9.5, Kansas City, Detroit was 20 more games into it, but love that one. That's the 10-unit play. So as you can see, as I get more data and I get better. Now, what am I doing? Well, I'm looking at expected outcome. The Titanic hits the iceberg, the water comes in, it goes down, we got to get into gold. So we're going to go under. Or we have a strong pitcher against a weak pitcher. Now that's one variable we're really looking at to get the expected outcome. Today or tomorrow, we'll start looking at variables 2 and 3, which is going to be bullpen and hitting. Are the teams an A team or not? Now we can tell by record who. So if we look at record, if I were to say the A team, the Yankees 14-7, Cleveland's 15-6, Baltimore 13-7, KC 13-8 are close 8. So just by looking, but that doesn't mean anything in baseball. That's why it goes back to the pitcher. But you have bullpen. So let's look at the Z teams. Chicago White Sox 3-17, Z team. There's a few other beauties. Mini 7-12, maybe a W. Miami 5-17, Z team. The Colorado 4-16, a Z team, and Colorado again 4-16. So you have 4 or 5 real bad teams, but that doesn't mean anything if they have a good pitcher and the other team has a bad pitcher. You can't ignore. He's won half their games against Emerson Hancock, 1-2 with the 7.98. So even though they're a Z team in this pitching matchup, they're okay.